So I came across this video by DBZimran on why Sasuke versus Uryu isn't even close. Now, some of the reasons on why Sasuke loses is pretty interesting. To be honest, I don't really care about the outcome, but rather the reasoning for the outcome to be possible. I did notice a few misconceptions that I want to address while going over this, so let's just examine.
I have to be honest, this matchup exposes just how many people haven't read Bleach past the Soul Society arc. Every time Uryu Ishida gets brought up against Sasuke Uchiha, you see the same knee-jerk reaction. Oh, Sasuke solos, bro. With Susanoo and Rinnegan, it's GG. And I'm sitting here like, did you guys skip the entire 1000-year Blood War arc? Did you miss what Uryu had become by the end of Bleach? Because here's the truth, Uryu versus Sasuke isn't this edgy rival battle that people imagine it to be. This isn't a mirror match of two introvert loners with cool eyes and cooler powers. It's a straight-up showcase of what happens when you get some of the best hacks abilities from Bleach crashing into some of the most flashiest explosions from Naruto. I don't think that this matchup is close at all, and in this video I'll be diving into the receipts. We'll go over the feats, the techniques, and the scaling that people conveniently ignore. We'll be looking at each of their characters from their respective peaks from their manga. This isn't just going to be about who hits harder, it's going to see who can outsmart the other and who can even survive the consequences of their own attack. This fight takes place on a neutral battlefield. There are no trees, no buildings, no Konoha or the Soul Society, just an endless plane where collateral damage doesn't matter. Both characters are ready to kick the crap out of each other, they have no prep time, and when it comes to Sasuke, we're using him from the end of Naruto Shippuden. This means Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan is available to him, he has Rinnegan and full 6-path chakra buff. So thankfully he has none of that nonsense from Boruto where he's nerfed, no losing the Rinnegan. We want him at his most dangerous.
His intro is just basically going on a tangent about people not reading Bleach, lack of understanding, which leads to downplay due to them not doing enough research, which I can sympathize with. But at the same time, it is really common in the community. This is interesting because he states he's using characters at their best, or peaks. In his words, like literally at their most dangerous, and that he's going to go over scaling that people conveniently ignore. I do find this tangent to be somewhat hypocritical because he thinks Shippuden era Sasuke is more dangerous than Boruto era Sasuke. If he did all the things he was complaining about in his intro, he wouldn't have came to such a conclusion to begin with. Because I do want to correct this misinformation, I'll briefly explain the chain scaling of why Boruto era Sasuke is just stronger and more dangerous than Shippuden era Sasuke. Basically, it goes as following. Sasuke fights alongside Naruto, take on Kaguya. We then find out there's a bigger threat than Kaguya, which is why she created the Zetsu army despite her power. This threat is then confirmed to be Momoshiki and Kenshiki, who both gets completely overwhelmed by Sasuke and the Kages, ultimately forcing him to absorb Kenshiki, becoming even more powerful. However, nothing really changes as Sasuke and Naruto still individually overwhelmed this fused Momoshiki. Even if you somehow wanted to ignore direct scaling to someone stronger than Kaguya, we see Boruto era Sasuke still have more experience and mastery with his Rinnegan, being able to use Rinnegan-based space-time ninjutsu and track chakra across different dimensions versus in Shippuden being completely stranded and reliant on Obito and Sakura's assistance just shows like a higher mastery on Boruto era's end that just surpasses Shippuden Sasuke.
Chakra and Reishi are staying the way that they are, and for the purposes of this video, yes, they can interact with each other, so none of this nonsense that Susanoo can't work against Uryu because he's a soul.
This is a fair stipulation, but that's just not needed. We've seen random shinobi being able to imprison souls and perceive them. Like Don had to ask random shinobi to drop the barrier so he could use a spirit transformation technique. After releasing the barrier, they were able to see him in his spirit form. By the way, this also proves chakra barriers can contain souls. Another example is Pain being able to hold a person's soul in the palm of his hands, and people were able to watch him do this. Not to mention, Sasuke can perceive things across dimensions, even in Shippuden era, by being able to see Madora's limbo clones, which exists on another plane of reality entirely. But yeah.
In terms of strength, Sasuke is clearly the one who dominates in this category, but drawn from his perfect Susanoo's bow, channeling all chakra into one annihilating strike. If it lands before the antithesis triggers, then yes, Uryu is going to die, but that's Sasuke's one real win condition that he has in this fight.
He has Sasuke being stronger than Uryu and has a win con with his Indra's arrow, which is pretty interesting. Usually in a Bleach vs Naruto matchup, you almost always have to scale Bleach characters just massively higher to suggest something like not even close being possible. And you also have their speeds being relative because you have Sasuke being able to kill Uryu with an attack.
Mentioned this earlier, Uryu literally outran his own shadow, and he was keeping up pace with characters who were faster than light during the Thousand Year Blood War arc.
Oh boy. The faster than a shadow argument. The real question is, does DBZimran also scale Part 1 Lee to faster than light for having a similar feat, being faster than his shadow? In all seriousness, outrunning a shadow might just be outrunning whatever is stopping light from reaching that area, like a cloud or something. You can't outrun your shadow while on the ground since the shadow at your feet appears instantly, so there's like zero distance and zero delay. At most, it just stretches. Shadow feats only make sense if a character is flying because light takes extra time to reach the ground and the observer, giving a small window for the character to move ahead.
And not to mention Zelle Schneider, which doesn't just cut, it vibrates through reishi bonds at 3 million rotations per second. All of these abilities are difficult to block with just raw armor alone. Susanoo is durable, but it's still made out of chakra. Reishi arrows break spiritual constructs for breakfast.
Zelle Schneider is a form of durability negation via like vibration. He's assuming Sasuke or his perfect Susanoo just doesn't have resistance to like durability negation at all, which is odd because I remember he was complaining about people who don't do enough research. If he actually took the time to read those panels he presented in this video, he would see that Sasuke was able to stalemate Naruto's Truth Seeker Orb, which can completely erase matter, space, and even souls. And this was all done with his chakra, which even has the ability to just block and resist a light from the infinite Tsukuyomi that can penetrate through solid objects. Because of this, I don't think Zelle Schneider can just easily penetrate his defenses. What Zelle Schneider does do is weaken the bonds that hold molecules together. Onaki's particle style actually disintegrates matter on a molecular level. It doesn't just weaken the bonds, it completely breaks them. It's essentially returning targets back to their atomic shape. Not only has Madara's perfect Susanoo shown the ability to just completely overpower this and resist it, but the TSO that Naruto uses against Sasuke just greatly surpasses that. Because of this, there's just no possible way Zelle Schneider can be effective against Sasuke.
What about Sasuke's Rinnegan absorption? Theoretically, it lets him nullify chakra-based attacks. While yes, reishi and chakra in this video can interact, but reishi is not chakra. Reishi is the building block of souls, matter, and dimensions. Sasuke's Rinnegan never absorbed soul-based constructs, only chakra ninjutsu. You can't absorb what you don't understand, and most of the time, Sasuke's toolset is just a really bad match against Uryu's antithesis. Any ability that is used against Uryu is just a future reversal waiting to happen.
I do have a massive problem with this, as you're allowing reishi mechanics to work on chakra, but not allowing chakra mechanics to work on reishi. You're implying Uryu understands chakra, therefore he would be able to, while Sasuke wouldn't be able to absorb this energy because he doesn't understand reishi. Combined with your interpretation that he just can't interact with souls or spiritual matter. See, the problem here is you can't let Uryu bypass Naruto's physics while disallowing Sasuke to return the favor. That's just narrative bias and not fair analysis. My take is, if reishi, or spirit particles, can cut, drain, or affect chakra, then chakra should likewise be able to interact with reishi-based constructs. Otherwise, you're just creating an artificial double standard. Sasuke can in fact affect soul-based constructs. We have weaker characters with the Rinnegan, which I mentioned before, who can just grab souls with the palm of their hands. Or the fact that chakra is able to channel and wield spiritual weapons. See, Sasuke's power is interacting with this exact same metaphysical layer. There are more examples, like the Edo Tensei, which is an application of soul manipulation where the users are literally bounding souls. Or perhaps the clearest example being the King of Hell, which is not a corporal entity of the physical world and originates from a purely spiritual plane, the underworld or hell-like realm. Yet Nagato can summon and empower it with his chakra. This demonstrates the fundamental truth that chakra is not limited to the physical body, but extends into the spiritual dimensions, giving shinobi agency over metaphysical forces.
Hashward cut Uryu into ribbons, and Uryu calmly pressed the antithesis button, and he was able to heal instantly, swapping his state with Hashward's, as he dumped all of the blood onto his opponent. Imagine Sasuke staring down Uryu, igniting him with Amaterasu, and then suddenly realizing he's the one on fire.
Regarding the antithesis, I don't think it's anything outside the ordinary. I would argue the Izanagi is better simply because it rewrites reality entirely and erases that outcome, rather than just reversing designated targets. If you're incapacitated, you can't really rely on the antithesis and press the button, right? It's not a passive ability. Genjutsu can hard counter this ability, putting Uryu in an incapacitated state.
Genjutsu is the big one that people cling to, but let's dismantle this. Genjutsu works by disrupting chakra flow. Even if this were to work, Uryu has Ranso Tengai. This is the ability to puppet his own body with spiritual threads. He literally moved while he was paralyzed before during his fight with Mayuri, so even if Sasuke catches him in an illusion, Uryu keeps fighting like a corpse on strings. And yeah, honestly, good luck mind controlling that.
The problem here is, he doesn't really understand Genjutsu. It doesn't just paralyze the body, it manipulates the mind. Even if Uryu puppets himself with reishi threads, it's still dependent of the mind, not independent of it. If the mind is influenced, the movements will also be influenced. This exact principle is shown with the 6 paths of pain. Each path is controlled like puppets by Nagato, yet all were still susceptible to Genjutsu because the controlling mind is still vulnerable, despite Nagato controlling the bodies from greater distance than what Uryu can accomplish. Meaning that Genjutsu is still super effective, and Uryu's corpse puppet trick just doesn't give him immunity whatsoever.
Sasuke's arrogance in Naruto has been exploited countless times. Against Itachi, against Obito, against Naruto, he underestimates, overcommits, and then he pays the ultimate price for it. Despite both of these guys having the same Japanese voice actor, Uryu is always the calmest guy in the room. This mismatch in their temperament may well prove to be lethal for Sasuke.
Throughout the video, he just keeps bringing up Sasuke having arrogance with emotional flares, just narratively framing Sasuke as reckless, arrogant, overcommits, while Uryu is always calm and collecting. Saying Sasuke makes ruthless calculations in battle and painting him as always overconfident while consistently glorifying Uryu's composure is just selective framing, to be honest. It should be noted that Sasuke's seemingly reckless behavior is inclusive to the plot, and just wouldn't be a deciding factor in any other matchup outside of the plot. It's directly tied to his trauma, the massacre of his clan, and the figures responsible for it. Characters connected to that pain, like Itachi or Danzo. His emotions just take over, but against others with no link to his trauma, like Deidara or Kaguya, and of course Uryu, Sasuke just fights with absolute precision. Ultimately, the analysis in his video just shows narrative bias, just granting Uryu powers full effect on Naruto's physics, while denying Sasuke's powers equal weight against Bleach's mechanics. When both sides are treated fairly, Sasuke just remains not only more powerful, but also more versatile and dangerous, with reliable win conditions. Many of his arguments rely on misconceptions, selective scaling, and double standards. The biggest oversight is just misunderstanding how chakra and reishi would interact, and dismissing Genjutsu's ability to affect and manipulate the mind and not just the body. If weaker shinobi can manipulate souls, then of course peak Sasuke absolutely can as well. If you like the channel and want to support the content, just like and subscribe. Until then, I'll catch you guys later.